Hello, everyone, and welcome to Admitted Students Week and a very special presentation of the MSP program. I'm Dan Ferris. I use he, him pronouns. I'm the Assistant Dean for Policy Initiatives and Assistant Professor of Practice at the Brown School. I am humbled and pleased to be joined here today by...
Hello, everyone. My name is Elizabeth Fuchs. I use she, her pronouns. I am an assistant teaching professor here at the Brown School. I work in field faculty, and I will be working with you on your MSP internship. Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Elizabeth. So what we have planned for today is a brief overview and snapshot of the MSP program, policy practice more broadly, and a chance for you to get to know the program and how it connects to some of the incredible opportunities and offerings at the school and university, St. Louis and beyond. So with that in mind, whether you're a current student or brand new and just getting to know the school, it's an incredible place to be advancing cross-discipline policy practice and research, translatable foundation curriculum, dozens of course options, and more than 15 centers based at the school alone. We have the Center for Social Development, the Clark Fox Policy Institute, so on and so forth. So policy practice across social work, public health, and MSP social policy is really embedded in the fabric of the Brown School. We also would just highlight the faculty leadership, as well as the incredible internship components that are available to you throughout the program. And that's throughout a dual degree. Our students approach the program in a number of different ways, and the flexibilities are inherent in terms of what you're able to accomplish, whether you are focused on policy throughout your dual degree or using the dual degree and the MSP program as an opportunity to go above and beyond what you're looking at or concentrating in with social work or public health more broadly. There isn't a best way to approach it. And so the program design is really situated in terms of meeting you where you are and advancing your skills, knowledge, and network in policy. All of that said, what is social policy and why social policy at the Brown School? So we use frameworks and lenses grounded in social work and public health to build on a field with historical roots in political science, economics, and public administration. So borrowing from the Social Policy Institute, where I also have affiliation, social policy focuses on translating ideas from across disciplines into sustainable solutions for real-world problems. The other thing that sets social policy apart from, say, a more broad public policy program is the desired results. Achieving an inclusive society that is socially, racially, and economically just. So as we think about policy practice as another piece of jargon that can get thrown around quite a bit, how practice translates and connects to policy are the lanes of policy work that you can use to help to ground what is bringing you into the Brown School and your interest in policy, as well as where your academic and professional career is leading. So as we think, people look for policy skills and knowledge because they're interested in research and analysis, activism and advocacy, as well as public administration and management, whether that's through an elected official's office, government agency, or beyond. So just as important as these broad lenses of policy practice, just as important, you can use a field-specific lens. So applying specific social work and public health professional experience in a transdisciplinary way to advancing priorities of the field, of your specific field. So whether you focus on one or more of these, effective policy work relies on understanding and bridging these and not siloing research and analysis from advocacy and activism or management and administration. So we look forward to getting to know you better during your time at the Brown School and helping to encourage work across these different areas. It's also important to say, why policy? If you're here in the session, this might be obvious, that this might be already something inherent to you, but it is a critically important time to be equipping future policy leaders with skills, knowledge, and network to be effective in their work, whether that's here in St. Louis, elsewhere in the United States, and of course, around the world. We also view policy practitioners as being uniquely positioned to inform policy at each of its stages. We like to say that social work and public health practitioners and professionals are uniquely positioned to influence and inform policy, and vice versa. The policy field could really stand to benefit from the fields of social work and public health being embedded in terms of their fields and professions. The program itself is 31 new additional credits in addition to the requirements of your MSW or MPH programs. So we have dual degree students who are completing it in conjunction with their MSW or MPH. We also have a number of global partner universities and students joining us from top universities in China and Israel, who are really geared, towards linking an MSP degree at the Brown School with their additional field of study in public administration, sociology, social work, of course, and others. The program is also available as a paired degree. So it's our form of a bit of an advanced standing program for students who've completed graduate coursework elsewhere in related fields, who after spending time in the field are identifying some of the skills and opportunities for further knowledge, skills, and network specifically in policy to help to advance the work that they want to do. We think one of the real benefits of the program and one of what makes us kind of unique is its ability to be working with people coming from all over the world and from all different backgrounds, all with a shared goal of advancing policy for social change and equity. So the MSW MSP dual degree, how it's structured, typically students do their first year in the MSW program, and then their second year, trademarked as the sandwich option by some of our current students, in MSP. And so the way that this is structured is students enter and begin with short courses, do 2 full semesters, fall and spring, and then a summer internship following the completion of their policy coursework. That serves as a springboard, back into their social work or public health work, or into their future work careers if they're graduating. Again, so students will then in the sandwich option do their third and final year back in MSW or MPH. So what that looks like in terms of credits is 91 total credit hours. And then very similarly on the MPH MSP dual degree side, MPH would be in your first year and then a second year in the MSP program, and then returning to complete MPH specialization coursework. So the program model of the MSP, whether you're with a global partner university, a paired degree student, or a dual degree student, is the same for your MSP year. But we know how many students who are joining us for this session are Brown School dual degree students. Just wanted to make sure that we had this pathway clearly mapped out for folks. And again, the credits in terms of what's done on the MPH MSP side is 83 total credit hours. So the course, as I mentioned, has 4 main components. So 5 core courses or 5 core areas. And this is consistent with top social and public policy programs across the country. So you take a foundation class in policy analysis, politics, statistics, economics, and management and leadership. You take 3 elective credits drawn from a catalog of over 40 options and opportunities at the Brown School. I'd also mention here that we have students who utilize this as an opportunity to take a class at, say, the law school, the business school, and arts and sciences specific to their interests. We have 4 credits of short courses, which are exclusive and specifically designed for the MSP program. So each year we have top faculty and policy partners in the field propose, design, and lead short courses, which start the program off and for both cohort building as well as specific topics of particular interest and relevance in the program. And as I mentioned before, the program culminates in a full-time internship, which I'm glad to be turning things over to Elizabeth to talk through in just a couple more slides. The way that this structures in terms of what the MSP year looks like. So again, you take 4 credits from the short courses in your summer and fall. The fall itself then includes 12 credits of full semester courses. The feedback that we've got from students is this is really helpful to sequence to have both the kickoff with the short courses and then your semester-long coursework and classes are a little bit lower in terms of the commitment and the time commitment. So whether you want to dedicate a little bit more time to those courses and go deeper or have other extracurricular opportunities, it's a great way to think about your first fall. Also with spring, students typically take 12 or as many as 15 credits from their courses. There's no requirement as to how to sequence the foundations versus electives. Typically, students take mostly foundations in their fall semester, maybe with 1 elective, and then focus more on electives in the spring. But we really do encourage and support students to come up with a course plan that makes the most sense for their interests and for their pursuits. And then that final full-time summer internship. So that full-time internship takes place in the summer. It's where you have the opportunity to apply your coursework and your classroom learned knowledge in a real-world full-time policy setting. So it's a 3 credits, 360 hours, and students complete that here in St. Louis, around the country, and even around the world. So just as a couple of examples of students and where they've recently completed their internship opportunities, students have great opportunity right here at Washington University in St. Louis with organizations like the Clark Fox Policy Institute, the Centene Center for Health Transformation, Center on Gender, Migration, and Human Rights, to students going elsewhere around the United States, with fellowships or congressional internship opportunities on Capitol Hill, other organizations in Chicago, other universities around the country. And then, of course, students who are interested in advocacy and activism doing some interesting work with organizations like NAMI in St. Louis. So a bit of a snapshot of just the different pathways. If you're wanting to imagine what your internship might look like and where it might look like, these are some of the great places where our students have made a real impact. I'd be remiss not to mention some of the other just broad Brown School policy opportunities. I have the pleasure of co-teaching a Washington, D.C. course called Legislative Advocacy and Policymaking in the U.S. Legislative Branch. So it's a TPS course. So along with social work and public health students, students pick a topic of their choosing, of passion, they prepare a policy brief, and then they set up meetings on Capitol Hill, virtually or in person this year. So to have meaningful conversations and impact, with legislators, and to have that firsthand experience of what does it look like to meet with and advocate for an issue that you care deeply about. Government internships, which I know Elizabeth works deeply on and can speak a little bit more about as we're talking through some of the opportunities through field education. And then the Graduate Policy Scholars, which is a great 1-year extracurricular opportunity to learn, engage, and create in policy. And this draws from graduate students from across Washington University. So when we're thinking about network building, looking beyond the walls of the Brown School and working with students from law and business, architecture, the med school, and really building community in policy practice, across all these different fields and disciplines. So with that, it's my pleasure to turn things over to Elizabeth, who's going to talk through a little bit more of field education at the Brown School.
Thank you so much, Dan, for that introduction and for that exciting overview about the opportunities for MSP dual students, for everyone interested in a Master's of Social Policy degree here at the Brown School. Welcome. Welcome to your field education conversation about what's possible. Again, my name is Elizabeth, and I have the opportunity to work with all of our MSP students who are embarking on the internship experience. So we're going to go into a little bit about the why, what, where, when, and who of your field experience here at the Brown School, your MSP internship. One of the things that I feel really sets us apart from other institutions is the way we build upon relationships, the way we work with you to help plan, and then the opportunities that students have brought into the field with some of the dreaming they've done. That's one thing that I really want to make sure that you're thinking about is what does this look like? What does your dream job look like 10 to 15 years from now? And maybe you're saying, oh, I don't really know. I don't know what that looks like. Okay, so then let's talk about what those dream outcomes look like. What solution do you want to be part of? And that's where this MSP internship really takes shape. If you're thinking about the outcome and the change that you want to see, how are we going to conceptualize that through policy? And so thinking about what you're bringing to the table, skills that you already brought into your master's degree experience. What are you learning in your foundation practicum, either at the MSW level or the MPH level? how are we taking those experiences and then really narrowly focusing them on policy specifically, whether that's institutional policy, government policy, working at a global level, how are those disciplines impacting policy really specifically? So I feel like that's the why of how come an internship, an MSP field experience. What we really want you to have the autonomy over is your field plan. What does it look like? Are you working with a global agency? Are you working with a government nonprofit? Are you working with a legislator? How does that look for you? And then how can we help you plan that with resources, tools, networks, conversations? But we want you to be able to go and get out the Google, use the tools that we have for you, the network we have with faculty and staff and resources, connections we have both domestically and internationally, using those networks and those tools to really seek out a field experience. So this is designed by you, supported by us. The supported by us. It was the next thing there. That is one of the greatest privileges of my personal career, is to work with all of you to acquire the skills that you need to be able to go out after graduate school and do this work, and to be part of social policy change, and to represent this institution, and to build upon the network that you have, and hopefully the support from the field education office, from myself, from Dan, and the global policy scholars. Like, we will work with you to really just to support your experience. This is the intersection of what you're learning in classes. The theory, the practice. This is where you go and implement that. This is where you test out those things that you're learning in class and acquire real world, real experiences. And with support, not just from field ed, but also from the mentors in the field, from your field instructors, from the people that you're working with in those sites, who get to become mentors, which is a really beautiful part of this process. And I can speak from experience, having been a field instructor, guiding students through the field, working with students in our Jefferson City practicum experience, an internship. Jefferson City is the Missouri state capital, and that is where we do a lot of advocacy here in the state of Missouri. And we send students to Jefferson City to work with legislators. And it's a very exciting program, and students really get a lot out of it. So we can talk more about that if you're interested. What will you do? Any number of things, policy related. It really depends upon, where you are, what site you're working for. We have had students attending congressional hearings, reporting back to the Congress and the administrators that they work for, students who are writing policy briefs and are recommending votes on bills that impact social policy. We've had students who are on the ground, working in legislation, working with advocacy, working at the administrative level, in local mayor offices, and there's a lot of different tasks that you can do. But what we're hoping for is that you will be working in a full-time capacity in focusing on any number of policy-related activities. Again, created by you. Where will you complete this internship? There are, things that have been happening over the course of the last year. A lot of internships are taking place virtually. So there has been some opportunities that have opened up for virtual internships that perhaps might have been different had we have stayed in person. Going forward, you know, you will complete your internship. If there's opportunities for, you know, if you're interested in global internships, if you're interested in internships here in St. Louis, we have lots of policy opportunities for you. And then we also have national opportunities, but really it's kind of up to you. Where do you see yourself? There you go. The MSP internship is hosted in the summer after your second year. And I really liked the trademark sandwich because it helps to really see it in between those 2 years. So you'll do a MSW or MPH year, your MSP year, and then finish up those MSW or MPH years. So it is sandwiched in the middle. Who will support the internship process? The Office of Field Education. I also recommend conversations with Dan. I recommend conversations with your academic advisors. They can collectively, we all work together. Please reach out to me specifically. I am more than happy to help you step by step throughout the process. And the Office of Field Ed is more than happy to help affiliate sites, help get field instructors trained and ready to go for your internship. So please know that there is a whole team of people that are here to support you throughout this process.
Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And I'll echo, please do be in touch with us. The more that we're able to learn about you and to hear about your interests and where you'd like to go, both in terms of your policy work, the more we're able to help to support and to build programming, candidly, to help to kind of support students' interests in emerging areas. Just yesterday, we had a legislative aide and staff for U.S. Senator Kirsten Sinema come and spend her lunch hour with a number of our students and getting to hear about power and politics in the U.S. Capitol. So these are opportunities of networking, of access, of learning that are really make the Brown School a unique place to be. And in these spaces, joining with faculty, with classmates who are bringing their really diverse interests and issues and topics of interest, I think is really what sets the Brown School and MSP program apart. So a note just about how things are going in the world. So as I'm sure we are navigating a number of different considerations regarding COVID-19 and the pandemic. One of the reflections that I've gotten to speak with Elizabeth about and other colleagues as well, is just the critical nature of policy practice, of well-trained and equipped policy practice professionals to help to address and to advance equity in all times. But then in particular in times of crisis. So, I think the connection here that we're able to make, policy has not stopped if by any means. If anything, policy has gotten more complex, more timely, and more directly relevant to the lives of communities in which we're committed to working with and working for. And so as we think about how COVID-19, connects, I'd uplift and if you haven't already been following, to take a look at the Brown School's Open Classroom, which actually came out of a move to online and remote learning, publicly available offerings highlighting a lot of the different policy involvements, research, supports that our faculty and our colleagues are directly related to. So as we think about not only COVID-19 as it's kind of impacted and had transitions for online learning and flexibilities there for this past year, to also think about the leadership that's coming out of the Brown School and supporting and really helping to guide, the public health response, in terms of the pandemic. So all of that said, Elizabeth mentioned advising, so we just wanted to kind of close in terms of thinking about, kind of where you go from here. So you do have 3 advisors for your time at the Brown School. If you're a dual degree student, your advisors typically remain the same throughout your dual degree program. And of course, if you're a global partner student or a paired degree student, this applies to you as well. So you have an assigned academic advisor who is really kind of in the weeds with you in terms of your course planning and thinking about different academic supports and resources, faculty advisor who can connect with you more deeply in terms of your specific topics of interest, and again, where you're looking to head, both your academic and professional goals. And then last but certainly not least, our field education advising to our field education faculty. So really focused in and targeting into how does classroom learn knowledge apply itself to real world field-based learning and education. And where we see this advising coming in is not just through our curriculum, but also in terms of where we see our students having incredible successes outside of the classroom and even outside of the Brown School, making contributions nationally and internationally in policy. So here's where I'm excited to kind of highlight students who recently were selected, our MSP students for the Clinton Global Initiative University with a project proposal on studying rural farm workers in Illinois and the impacts on children and families. This is where I have the pleasure of highlighting the accomplishment, of one of our MSP students being selected from a very competitive national pool for an equity fellowship through APAM, the Association for Public Administration Policy and Management. And so seeing these accomplishments from students, I think, is a real reflection both of the classmates and the students who you have the opportunity to work with, to learn with, and not only at the Brown School, but in your career ahead, but also in terms of providing them and you with supports across your academic planning, your faculty, and your field education, in terms of thinking about and positioning and advancing, your interest in your work in these areas. So wherever your pathway might be, and whether you're newer to policy or whether you're coming to the Brown School with some significant policy experience and you're looking for more skill development or knowledge building in a specific area, there are people and pathways through the MSP program to set you up for success and to help you pursue the topics and the areas and the networks that you're really passionate about making a difference in. So that leaves all that's left is to say thank you. We're so excited to get to know you. We have office hours set up the week of Admitted Students Week, to get to know you better, to have some group conversations and some one-on-ones. And so between myself, Elizabeth, and also Lin Wing Fu, who's our global programs manager and works closely with us on all things MSP, welcome to the Brown School, welcome to MSP, and we can't wait to get to know you and support you in your policy endeavors moving forward.